At 1:40 a.m, Crimea's fuel logistics were already under strain. Not from halted trains, but defences focused in the wrong direction. Russian commanders had spent weeks reinforcing air defences around major naval bases and the maritime corridors between Novorossiysk and Sochi. The assumption was straightforward. Ukraine's next major effort would concentrate on ships, ports, and coastal infrastructure. Those defences absorbed radar attention, interceptor readiness, and command focus. But the most fragile part of Crimea's sustainment system was not at sea. It was running inland on steel rails. Crimea's internal railways were vital for supplying Russian forces in the south, and Donbass with fuel and lubricants. Rail allows rapid, high-volume movement with less exposure than trucks. Fuel is non-substitutable, a lack of it halts mobility, preventing repositioning, air defense relocation, equipment recovery, and battlefield adjustments. Rail-fed fuel is essentially stored maneuver power. Simultaneously, a US Navy P-8A Poseidon patrol aircraft conducted a routine reconnaissance flight over the Black Sea between Crimea and Sochi. Open-source tracking showed patterns consistent with maritime surveillance. Though the flight's timing drew attention due to its proximity to subsequent strikes, no official link or confirmed direct coordination was established. At 2:15 a.m, Ukraine converted that tense atmosphere into a measurable battlefield effect. A fuel train moving along Crimea's internal railway network was struck while travelling under darkness. Open source reports and later Ukrainian statements described the attack method. Special Operations Forces used FP2 first-person view attack drones, a tightly timed plan aimed to paralyze logistics, not trade fire. Hitting a moving train at night is a high-skill operation, requiring precise intelligence on the train's schedule and location. The launch timing must match the train's speed and direction, and the operator needs stable, low-altitude guidance despite wind, poor contrast, and trackside clutter. Though the platform is low cost, the skill requirement is high. The drone must accurately hit a tanker car to ignite the flammable cargo, triggering a cascading fireball across multiple wagons, as shown in circulating footage. The strike paralyzed a critical Russian fuel convoy and rail segment. It also severed a reliable rail link from Crimea toward Donbass. Given a typical 50-60 car fuel train, 60 tons per car, the estimated loss is 3,000 to 3,600 tons of fuel. The impact extends beyond the fuel, causing loss of rolling stock, blocking the line, necessitating recovery, and delaying downstream deliveries throughout the supply chain. Ukrainian Special Operations Forces conducted an asymmetric campaign targeting Russia's mobility, not just fuel. The logic: fuel flow and distribution nodes are harder to replace instantly than individual vehicles. Burning a train on a key segment affects whether tanks, recovery vehicles, and air defense units can move, reach damaged equipment, or shift position, effectively striking at mobility itself. The operation in Crimea did not end with the train. At 2:40 a.m, almost concurrently with the rail strike, another Ukrainian attack unfolded near the village of Batumin, close to Surovopol. An oil depot there, used as storage and distribution for military fuel, was struck in what appeared to be the second leg of a deliberate 1-2 sequence. The first leg severed movement to collapse fuel flow. The second leg destroyed reserves to eliminate any operational buffer that might compensate for the cut. Satellite imagery and leaked civilian videos later showed large fires at the depot. With storage tanks burning beyond immediate control, DOT emergency services struggled for hours to contain the raging blaze. Prolonged burning suggests multiple tanks or linked infrastructure were compromised. The combined effect of a destroyed train near Yantarn and a burning depot at Batumin eliminated a meaningful portion of the fuel and lubricant buffer available to Russian forces in Crimea. While the 15 to 20% fuel loss estimate in Crimea is an analytical assessment, the operational impact is measurable. Sustained loss of maneuverability and fuel shortages quickly force commanders into delay and rationing. Commanders now must prioritize fuel distribution, constraining Russia's aggressive repositioning of mechanized assets, air defense, and logistics. In Crimea's channeled geography, fuel shortages quickly cause operational hesitation. The impact extends beyond the visual drama of fires. Russian forces rely on constant resupply because they consume fuel heavily. Tanks, IFVs, air defense, artillery tractors, engineering, and command vehicles all need fuel for assaults, repositionings, concealment, and routine operations. Even a brief disruption can slow patrols, delay movements, and idle units instead of allowing maneuvers. Within this same sequence, analysts who measure both physical destruction and system-wide disruption often describe the combined effect as a single total. In that sense, the train strike near Yantarn, the depot fire near Batumin, and the immediate rail recovery and rerouting burden together drove the overall impact that analysts assess at least $600 million. The number represents more than burned fuel. It also reflects damaged rail assets, compromised storage, and lost tempo, which is the most difficult loss to recover when operations depend on continuous movement. The shockwaves from Crimea also coincided with troubling developments far beyond the peninsula. Russia's railway network, the backbone of its civilian economy and its military logistics, began showing visible signs of stress under wartime load. Near the Volgograd region, a derailment occurred at the Zaplavno loading yard, a node on a logistics corridor significant for industrial and fuel movement. Open-source images showed a crane-equipped rescue train was dispatched. It was used for heavy recovery and lifting derailed cars. Despite this visible indication of a significant incident demanding specialist resources, the Volga branch of Russian railways briefly claimed trains were running on schedule. While technically true if lines operated partially or traffic was rerouted, the statement contradicts the need for non-trivial recovery equipment. The messaging matters because Moscow understands what rail disruption signals. Railways move the bulk of Russia's heavy freight, fuel, ammunition, spare parts, and large equipment. Even if a derailment is accidental, it forces rerouting, creates timetable congestion, and slows movement on lines that are already strained. A single choke point can produce a queue of delays that spreads like a traffic jam across junctions and yards. Further inland, in the Orenburg region, 3 tanker cars carrying propane-butane derailed on a dead-end track adjacent to the Tulpin station of the South Ural Railway. No verified evidence identified sabotage, and a dead-end track suggests yard movement rather than high-speed mainline transit. But the incident signals mounting stress across Russia's transport system. Aging rails, heavy use, backlogs, and war strain everything. Propane-butane tankers also matter because they carry flammable industrial fuel that supports civilian heating and industrial processes, including energy-intensive production chains linked to wartime output. Even when an incident does not escalate into a major fire, derailments can halt local operations, trigger safety shutdowns, and divert recovery resources. They also add friction to scheduling, because rail networks are not built to absorb frequent disruptions without compounding delay. Isolated derailments may seem accidental, taken alone in isolation. Paired with Crimea drone strikes, they suggest a strategic pattern. This is not yet a nationwide rail collapse, but clear evidence of a logistics network approaching systemic breakdown. Ukraine attacks key nodes, forcing Russia to cope with internal disruptions that impede the efficiency and speed needed for recovery and rerouting. The cumulative effect turns these separate events into a major logistics problem. Russia's military logistics heavily rely on the civilian rail system, particularly for fuel and ammunition. Approximately 400 million tons of oil and petroleum products are transported via domestic rail annually, with an estimated 15 to 25% of wartime rail freight being critical supplies. This dependence means the military must share rail infrastructure, lines, terminals, yards, schedules with civilian traffic. While productive, this shared system is vulnerable to widespread congestion and disruption. When nodes like Zaplavno experience disruption and incidents occur deeper inland on routes connected to the South Ural Railway, fuel movement becomes less predictable. Rerouting is possible, but rerouting takes time. Time is the resource Russia cannot easily replace at the front. Every hour of delay can translate into fewer resupply deliveries, reaching forward depots, fewer armoured movements authorised, and more conservative operational plans. The 10 days and 30% figures must be carefully framed. Analysts can plausibly model combined disruptions, Crimea losses plus domestic delays, reducing fuel for southern operations for a period, but it signifies up to 10 days of reduced tempo operations on affected routes. Not a 10-day total war needs across all fronts. Likewise, 30% delayed/lost fuel is a route-specific estimate, not a confirmed national figure. Even with careful framing, the operational effect is damaging, forcing Russia into trade-offs that favour a defender precisely striking logistics. The broader strategic significance is therefore visible. Russia's traditional doctrine relied on geographic depth and the vastness of its rail network as a guarantee of endurance and security. Ukraine has methodically inverted that logic. Depth no longer protects a supply line when key nodes inside that depth become choke points and traps rather than shields. Every kilometre becomes something Russia must secure, inspect, patrol, and repair. Every station becomes a potential bottleneck. The Kremlin's sensitive reaction, rapid denials, and minimal detail shows concern over both military implications and public perception. Derailments and fires, from Crimea to inland yards, test public confidence in the stability that Russia's railways symbolize. This causes not only physical damage, but a psychological shock that undermines the promise that the war would remain distant from daily life. By the end of this sequence, Russia's fuel and rail logistics had absorbed losses and disruption that analysts assess at approximately $600 million, combining destroyed fuel, compromised storage, damaged rail capacity, and forced delays that reduce operational tempo. More importantly, Russia lost the assumption of safety that underpinned its supply doctrine. Ukraine, by contrast, demonstrated that disciplined planning and low-cost FPV systems can defeat expensive defensive posture by striking what those defenses cannot easily protect: movement, timing, and the nodes that keep an army mobile. In practical terms, Ukraine's approach produced a clear advantage. Russia was left reacting, repairing, and rationing, while Ukraine dictated pressure points. In conclusion, the fires in Crimea and the derailments from Volgograd towards the Urals mark a turning point in how this logistics contest is being fought. Russia's fuel network, once the backbone of sustained operations, is now collapsing into an exposed and increasingly uncontrollable vulnerability. With total losses and disruption assessed near $600 million, Moscow is now forced into a defensive posture, not only on the battlefield, but inside the systems that feed the battlefield. If Ukraine continues to target fuel flow, while Russia struggles to stabilize its rail arteries, a sustained operational tempo will become structurally impossible. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more updates.